Hello and welcome to Nightly Scroll, everyone. I'm Haley Karania. As you know, I'm always honest with the homies. I was just chatting with the homies, checking in before the show started in the chat on Rumble. If you're not involved in Rumble, you have to. You have to go to rumble.com/Haley to be involved in the chat, to scroll with the homies during the show. So rumble.com/Haley is where you can do that. I always try to pop in a few minutes before the show, just like say hello. I let everyone know that I am not feeling myself tonight. So we have a contingency plan in place that if I have to run, Guy and Justin will host the show for me. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we might have to take a little break, but I'm going to do my best to get through the show. Hopefully everything's fine. I have my tea here. I have my ginger ale. I have my water with electrolytes. So we're just going to do our best. Okay, so bear with me. What do we have on deck tonight? Well, Democrat politicians are still trying to convince all of us that they are in charge of these crime-free utopias, when in reality it is quite the opposite. Then President Trump wants to make the naturalization test for citizenship harder, and I'm all for it. I actually think we should up the ante. I think that all citizens should have to take it before voting. We'll get into that. Plus, the MTV Video Music Awards featured drag queens and pro-trans protests. You may be shocked by my reaction. Put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts now. I'll go again. This is on the heels of the deadliest holiday weekend of the year over Labor Day weekend in Chicago. And now, this past weekend, 19 Chicagoans were shot. 7 of them were killed. We still have the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, claiming that there is nothing to see here. Everything is fine. No need to send in the troops. Other Democrats, like Tammy Duckworth, have said that President Trump has declared war on Chicago. This was all stemming from an AI meme that President Trump posted to Truth Social over the weekend. Let's pull up this meme just so you guys can see. I think it said it was the Chipocalypse. What was he calling it? The Chipocalypse, that Chicago's about to find out why it's called the Department of War. And it's, Trump kind of looks like, what is this? Like Indiana Jones kind of. So he posted, I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. Is this Apocalypse Now? Is that what the movie poster looked like? As you know, I don't watch movies, so I wouldn't know. But I'm assuming that's what this is in the style of. But he's got the cowboy hat on. He looks pretty badass. So I don't know why Democrats still report on AI memes as fact. Why do they not understand that President Trump is trolling them always? Here's the real confusing part for me. When people are shot in Chicago, night after night, weekend after weekend, why are there no calls for gun control from the left? They only do that when it's a white shooter or a school shooter. School shootings, I swear, it's the only crime that the left cares about. I've said this before. I stand by it. They don't care about other crime. It's almost like if a crime happens in a blue state or a blue city, it's totally fine. Crime is fine. Gun crime is fine. People can go kill each other with guns. Because if Democrats admitted that crime is a problem, then Trump would be right, of course, and they can't let that happen. It would also expose the fact that they're really bad at their jobs and they're putting forth failed policy. So they can't do that, right? They can't admit that the crime is actually a problem. They would have to give President Trump his flowers. They would have to admit that they're dumb. Also, the Black Lives Matter crowd, totally silent, by the way, especially when it comes to black on black crime. Why is that? Is it because they feel like they can't comment on it because that doesn't fit their black excellence narrative? But it's hypocritical because if they cared about black lives, they should care about crime and they should want it to end. But then they would have to admit that the BLM movement didn't do anything. It was all virtue signaling. It didn't change anything for the black lives that live in Chicago or Detroit or Baltimore because it highlights how voting Democrat does nothing for these communities. It only exacerbates existing problems. Never makes it any better. Quality of life goes down, which brings me to San Jose, California, by the way. It's not just Chicago. It's not just DC. It's not just Baltimore. Let's talk about Gavin Newsom's California. So in San Jose, a jeweler, 88-year-old jeweler, his jewelry, like a mom and pop jewelry store, was ransacked by people over the weekend. Let's watch this. So these people drove a car into the window. They drove a car into the window instead of just using the door. They could have just used the door because one of the guys was armed. Now a huge group of thugs are breaking into this store. This old man, is he shirtless? This old man defending his jewelry shop, and then this man pushes him down. They literally are bullying elderly people, elderly shop owners. Disgusting. Now, how many are there? Like 20? It looks like there's 20 of these people in here smashing all the display cases. They're grabbing jewelry. Now they're all running out. They have all these escape cars waiting for them. The family of the store owner said that the owner suffered a stroke and injuries from the broken glass. He had to be hospitalized overnight. He's since been released, so thank goodness for that. But damage to the store is estimated to be between $50,000 and $100,000. Yeah, pretty horrible to see. But it's also in red states too, which is why I support this crime crackdown wherever it is. Everywhere that there's an issue with crime, this is not about playing politics. This is about making America safe again. So I say send in the National Guard to Memphis, send in the National Guard to New Orleans, wherever it's needed. Which brings me to two horrific stories. First, out of North Carolina. I know everyone has seen this. It has gone completely viral. Of course, I'm not playing the video of this woman who was attacked on, this Ukrainian refugee who was attacked on the Charlotte light rail last month. Here is just a screen grab from that very graphic video of the perpetrator who stabbed her from behind in the neck with a knife. Disgusting. This guy also had 14 prior arrests. 14. He was also diagnosed with schizophrenia. The guy's own mom, by the way, didn't know why he was let out. I read that. And it's shocking to me. How these judges are the ones that need mental health evaluation because clearly they don't know how to do their jobs. There were GoFundMe campaigns set up for that psycho. So whoever set those up also need mental health evaluation. Why on earth was this man walking free? Could you imagine escaping a war zone in Ukraine? This is actually what a true asylum seeker looks like, right? Living in a war zone, comes to the United States. She settles in Charlotte, North Carolina, and gets stabbed in the neck by a psychopath. Why was he walking free? Why on earth did this man even have one supporter to set up a GoFundMe? There were multiple GoFundMes, and the site shut all of them down, thankfully. But he should not have been able to roam the streets. He should not have been able to take the bus. Someone who was offended 14 times, that we know of, by the way. These are the 14 times that he got caught. He does not deserve to rejoin society. DAs, judges, they need to be held accountable if they let someone go that many times who is clearly dangerous and then they reoffend. There's something going on in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I will call out the red states when they're at fault too. And some of these DAs, I'm sure they're activist DAs and activist judges. So I'm not blaming it on, politics, but I'm just saying this crime issue sees no color, blue or red. This is happening all over the country. Here's another horrific story. Auburn University, a former professor there, a veterinary professor, was killed walking her dog in broad daylight. This headline says pint-sized Auburn veterinary. She's 5'2". That's why they say that. She was hacked to death by fiend while walking her dog in the park. Her name is Julie Gard Chanel, and her body was found in a wooded area in Auburn, Alabama. She drove her car to a park to go walk her dog in the park. Her car was also stolen by the attacker, found not too far from the scene. The attacker was arrested, charged with capital murder. This is another seemingly random attack, right? We don't know the motive, or at least the media is not reporting on a motive as of right now. Maybe this is just another crazy person. Like we saw the schizo in North Carolina, maybe this is another thing. Maybe it was racially motivated. These are, white women, blonde women that are being attacked by black men. I don't know. Am I the only person who's going to come out and say that and ask the questions that I guess other people in the media are too afraid to ask? Is it racially motivated? Is it politically motivated? I don't know. But Democrats do a really good job of demonizing white women, white people, white men. I mean, blonde hair, blue eyes. Oh my God, you're a Nazi. You can't have good genes. This is what we've been dealing with. These are the narratives that the left keeps pushing. And then we're seeing people with blonde hair and blue eyes just get murdered in broad daylight. But if we learned anything from the defund the police movement, it's that none of that worked. So let's do the opposite. The more police, the more armed security guards, the better. Put them at every grocery store, every place of worship, every school, on every bus, subway car, and park. It'll create more jobs. And like I said earlier, make America safe again. And I don't care. I don't give a rip about the left's whining about, oh, it's a police state. If you aren't doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. But it seems law-abiding citizens who are minding their business, just taking the light rail or walking their dog, have everything to worry about. Because criminals are being coddled and given get-out-of-jail-free cards, and they're just free to reoffend and kill more innocent victims. Taking a quick break to tell you about our sponsors for tonight's show. First, I want to tell you about Genucel. Here is a story from Sandra in Arlington, Virginia. She says this is a true story. After just 5 days of using Genucel, her husband said, "You look so young. What are you doing? Whatever you're doing is working." And this sounds like a fake kind of commercial, but this is true. This is what really happened. He didn't know that she had bought Genucel products. She says she likes the texture. The products are easy to use. They're working on fine lines, sensitive skin. She's tried all these expensive product lines and found one that really works, and that's Genucel. So now it's your turn to see results like she did and like I do using Genucel with their end of season summer sale. There's only a few days left to get Genucel's complete skincare package at 70% off. It includes their dark spot corrector. That's the one I use. I really like that. Plus the classic Genucel bags and puffiness treatment and immediate effects for results in just minutes. Get the best skincare in the world for yourself completely risk-free. Go to Genucel.com/scroll today and start looking years, if not decades younger tomorrow. All orders are upgraded to free shipping. See results on day one. You'll get compliments everywhere you go, guaranteed, or your money back. That's Genucel.com/scroll, Genucel.com/scroll. Also want to tell you about Blackout Coffee. I've got my coffee right here. I don't start the show without it. I don't start my day without it. So let's talk about real convenience without sacrificing quality. I start my day with coffee in the morning. I'm sure many of you don't start your day without coffee. So choose Blackout because their coffee pods are a total game changer. Blackout pods are packed with fresh roasted, bold coffee made right here in Florida. And they work with single-serve pod brewers. So it is fast, it is easy, and it is actually delicious. They have amazing flavors. So whether you like black coffee or you like something with a little flavor, they've got banana foster, they've got cinnamon, they've got like a Christmas flavor. So good. So none of that bare, like stale junk. It is just good. You just pop one in. You've got a strong, smooth cup of coffee in just seconds. So whether you're racing out the door, juggling kids, jumping into back-to-back calls, Blackout is your new morning lifesaver. The best part is they ship nationwide, so you don't have to live in Florida to get Florida fresh coffee. You can have it in your door in just days. Head to blackoutcoffee.com/scroll or use code SCROLL at checkout for 20% off your first order. All right. I know I usually don't say the names of criminals on this show because I don't like to give them attention, but because President Trump has had multiple assassination attempts, I do have to say his name just so we know which one I'm talking about. Ryan Ruth, he was the one who attempted to kill President Trump at his golf course in Florida. This was last summer. So his trial is starting. The jury selection actually started earlier today. Attorneys are questioning 3 sets of 60 people in order to settle on the 12 jurors, and then they'll have 4 alternates. This is going to happen. This jury selection is going to happen over the next 3 days, and then the trial is set to take about a month. But it says that jury selection is off to a rocky start. This is an odd story. I read into this, and this guy, Ryan Ruth, he's 59 years old. He pleaded not guilty to 5 criminal charges he could end up in prison for life, which I think he deserves. The charges include attempting to kill a presidential candidate and possession of a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence. This guy is representing himself. He is not a lawyer. He has no legal experience, but he has decided to represent himself, saying that he doesn't trust a lawyer to speak on his behalf. They don't know anything about him. They don't know his character. So how could an attorney represent him? So this guy representing himself, I say, good luck. The U.S. District Judge, Aileen Cannon, is already basically annoyed with him because some of these questions that Ryan Ruth wants to ask people are just completely politically charged or irrelevant to the case. So she's already annoyed. But Ruth wanted to ask jurors about Trump's proposed acquisition of Greenland. He wanted to ask the jurors about their stance on Palestine. None of this really matters because that doesn't justify killing someone, right? Or attempting to kill someone. So he wanted to ask all these things. He also wanted to ask the jurors if they were driving in the middle of the road and they saw a turtle, what would they do? Because he thinks that he could figure out what their mindset is, what their character is, which is interesting to come from someone who felt justified in attempting to kill a presidential candidate. So I don't really know why he's concerned about the jurors' character and their mindset. But again, this guy is totally insane. So he also wanted to bring forth witnesses on his behalf. And of this list of witnesses, he had 24 people, Palestinian activists. He had professors. His own son was going to testify on his behalf, be a witness. He had a former girlfriend who was willing. And then he also wanted to call President Trump himself. I don't know how that would have helped him. But again, this is not someone who is of sound mind. We've already talked about this on the show. This is the guy who was in talks with people online. He was using WhatsApp to people in Ukraine, trying to get military grade weapons and war weapons from Ukraine. I mean, this guy is really unwell. But he also disclosed on Monday, earlier today, that 2 of his proposed witnesses would likely not be able to testify because one of these professors or Palestinian protesters had a planned trip to Vietnam during this trial time. And another witness that he wanted to call fears being deported. So he really knows how to pick them, this guy. I don't really know how you can find a jury to be unbiased. I really think it's hard to find an unbiased jury regardless, but especially in a case like this that is so politically charged. The case is being tried in Florida, where a lot of people like Trump, a lot of people voted for Trump. I'm sure there are a lot of Trump haters in Florida, but, people feel a certain type of way about President Trump. It's hard to kind of put your political opinions aside or how you feel personally about President Trump aside to be a truly unbiased juror. But I think this guy's got to go to jail. Obviously innocent until proven guilty in this country, but I mean, he's unwell. But President Trump has an idea that I love, by the way. So President Trump and the administration want to make the naturalization test harder. They said it's too easy. So the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Director, Joseph Edlow, did an interview with Axios, and he said this: ultimately, what I'd like to see is moving to a standardized test where an applicant goes beforehand to a testing center, answers the questions, will get a sense of whether they understand what is going on. He claims that the current 10-question civics test, I didn't know it was just 10 questions. Did you?
Yeah, I knew it. It's pretty ridiculous, actually.
I mean,
I've done a mock test. Yeah.
10 questions. That's not a lot at all. So anyway, the current 10-question civics test, they say is not hard enough. I tend to agree. And apparently you only need to answer 6 out of 10 correctly to become a citizen. And I will say, I used to do man on the street interviews in Nashville. I used to do them in New York. When I was in Nashville, I did a few different interviews where I would go out and I would ask people the citizenship questions. Like I would take questions off of the list These were actual questions that people had to answer whether or not they wanted to become a citizen or not. They're applying. And regular American citizens just had no idea. They just had no idea. I mean, really, really stupid. So now what the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Director wants to do is kind of an essay-style written test where maybe they would prompt people to answer questions like, what does it mean to be an American? Who's your favorite founding father? So you can't just like multiple choice question answer your way into citizenship. You can't just kind of, I don't know, wing it and become a citizen of the United States. You have to really show that you understand the Constitution, you understand the laws of this country, how this all works, what this all means, and what it's all about, right? To be an American. So he said this, the bottom line is we need a naturalization test that ensures immigrants truly understand the responsibilities of American citizenship. AKA, you can't just come here for free to get free shit that the Biden administration wanted to give you, and then you can go kill people with your car or a gun or a knife or whatever. Like, that's not what the American dream is. So if you think that that's what it is, there's the door. You're not becoming a citizen. That's what I think that the citizenship test should be. So I think also, like 6 out of 10 questions right, that's 60%. That's not even a passing grade by most standards in public schools. Not that we have the greatest public school system, but 6 out of 10 questions to get right, I think you should have to get 10. 10 out of 10 questions to get right. These are not hard questions, by the way. And I think if you don't pass, you have to study up and come back and do it again and try again. So I think we should also up the ante a little bit and make all American citizens pass it when they turn 18 before they vote. Because if it's important enough for people who want to apply for citizenship, then we should make sure that we don't have dumb Americans. I know this is like, it's our civic duty. Democrats like to say all of anything that gets in the way of people voting is a threat to democracy. But I think that if we're making citizens prove that they understand it. I mean, I think Americans should have to prove that they understand it too.
For whatever it's worth as well, I think you should have a pretty hard English test too. You should be able to speak very fluent English.
Agreed. And that's what the transportation department wants to do too, making sure that these truck drivers can speak English, because it's not just about speaking English and being a member of society, but it's reading the road signs. I mean, this is easy stuff. This should have already been happening. So I say we up the ante. I think everyone should have to take it. I want to take a quick break to tell you about, if you're watching this on Rumble, thank you. Rumble.com/Haley is the only place that you can watch this show in its entirety. But we tried something new today. We are streaming on where? X and Facebook. Okay. So X and Facebook. If you are here on X or Facebook, hello, welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Haley Carania. If you want to watch the full show, because it's going to cut off at some point, you got to do it on Rumble. So rumble.com/Haley is where you can watch Nightly Scroll in full, and you can watch it every weeknight, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope you do. So if anyone new is watching tonight, welcome, hello, and I hope to see you over on Rumble. All right, we have to talk about Stephen King, because Stephen King, I mean, as a horror movie lover, I love reading thriller books, horror books. It pains me to see the fall off. I mean, Stephen King, once great, it's just done a nosedive, because all he does now is hate Trump. All he does is anti-Trump. I feel like that's really what he's known for. This precedes his legacy as one of the greatest horror writers in the world, right? So he said, he did an interview with not Variety. It was the Sunday Times in the UK. He did an interview with the Sunday Times, and this is what the journalist asked him. Quote, I ask if he ever pauses on social media, where he is a prolific Trump critic, to consider how many of his readers are Trump supporters. This is what he said. I'm aware of it. There's never been, an organized boycott. I feel I have an obligation to say what I think and be clear about it. It's a question. Like the song says, which side are you on? There's a story about the home run that was heard around the world. There were tens of thousands of people who will say, I saw the baseball player Bobby Thompson hit that home run. There were only about 5,000 people in the stands that day. So I think it's the opposite with Trump. 20 or 30 years down the line, when I'll be dead and you'll be old, I think a lot of people are going to say, well, I never voted for Trump. I'm just going to throw this out to the chat. Someone in the chat said he hates Dan Bongino too. Yes, he does. He hates a lot of conservatives, prominent conservatives. He hates Dan. He hates Trump. But I just want to throw this out to the chat. People say Stephen King has TDS. King has TDS. Who cares about him? Exactly. Someone said, how could you hate Dan? Exactly. Right. But I just want to throw this out to the chat. Would you ever deny voting for Trump? In 20 or 30 years, if we look back in history and someone asked you, did you vote for Trump? Would you say no? I wouldn't. Why are liberals like this? They refuse to understand why people vote the way that they do, and they refuse to acknowledge that people are just different from them. People can disagree on politics and not be stupid or evil. So I don't know why they think that Trump supporters will regret their vote. They always try to find these like alleged Trump supporters who regret voting for Trump, and then they push them out to NBC and CNN. They do interviews. It's so embarrassing. I don't even know where they find these people or if they're really, truly Trump supporters. Because I think if they were truly MAGA, I don't see how you could see what President Trump is doing right now and disagree. I've never met someone who voted for Trump and then regretted it. Never. I know people, don't kiss the ground he walks on or like blindly supports everything he does, but that's different than what these liberals like Stephen King want. They want Trump supporters to totally denounce him. And for me personally, that's not happening. I voted for him 3 times. People in the chat are saying the same thing, never denying it. I'd vote for him again. Proudly voted for him 3 times. More, 3 times. Exactly. I would always be proud of my voting record, someone said. Totally agree. Clearly, I liked what I saw the first time during the first Trump administration, and I wanted it again. So I voted for him in 2020. We didn't get it our way. And I voted for him a 3rd time in 2024. By the grace of God, he was saved on July 13th, and he didn't die by that gunshot wound. Thankfully, he is the president of the United States, and Kamala Harris is not. But I voted for border security. I voted for peace through strength, foreign policy. I voted for lower taxes. I voted for power to be sent back down to the states. Smaller government. And I'm not alone. I will not regret this vote. And history books will likely not tell the whole truth about Trump because we already see how the mainstream media tries to spin things. And I'm sure one day my kids are going to go to some woke school because there's going to be no other school to send them to unless I homeschool them myself. And my kids will ask me, how could you have ever voted for Donald Trump? We're learning about American history in school. And, Donald Trump was like Hitler. And I'll just have to explain myself and it'll be easy because all I have to do is tell the truth about President Trump and explain to my kids and just have to deprogram whatever they're learning in school. But isn't that sad that you have to do that? You would have to homeschool your kids in order to give them a good education and for them to know the truth about American history. Really makes you think. I want to talk about quickly this NBC News desk. They did a poll and they were kind of trying to figure out the differences in this political space when it comes to Gen Z, this gender gap, if you will, when it comes to politics and the different social beliefs between men and women, especially younger men and women. So they interviewed people between 18 and 29, and they asked them, these Gen Zers, what they think makes for a successful life. They broke down the results by men and women who voted for Trump and then men and women who voted for Harris. What's really eye-opening is that men who voted for Trump place having children at the top. They want to have children, and then getting married comes just underneath that. So maybe men, they're more interested in getting married than they're more interested in having children than they are being married, which I think is odd. You would think that those two would be closer together because they go hand in hand for most Christians. But, people do what they want to do. But it's interesting. Men who voted for Trump, they want to have children. They want to get married. Then they contrast that with women who voted for Harris. They don't put those marriage, kids, they don't put those things high up on the list for them. The first 51% of women put fulfilling job or career first. They're all about career, money, emotional stability, resources to help others, financial independence, having no debt, owning a home. All of those things come first before marriage and having kids.
This is stunning.
For Kamala Harris voters.
This is crazy.
Isn't that wild? But if you think about it, people talk about the male loneliness epidemic. Like, people are just not dating as much anymore. They're not getting married. They're not having kids as much anymore. When you think about this disparity, men are wanting to get married, women aren't. So who are men going to get married to? Because these women don't want to. So men really, like, conservative men and women really have to find each other, and liberal men and women really have to find each other. And even if the liberal men and women find each other, I don't even think they're having kids. They don't care. They're just going to be like power couples who try to make a lot of money. But then here's the thing. They're so concerned about making money. Are they going to give it all away to people who make less than them?
No, they're just going to complain to tax the rich or some BS.
Exactly. It's total BS. So you can go to the next one, because women who voted for Trump, they put financial independence first as well. So men who voted for Trump actually put marriage and having kids higher than anyone else. So women who voted for Trump, they are also putting financial independence, fulfilling job or career, owning a home, being grounded spiritually, these things first, saving money before having children and being married. Interesting. Also interesting that having children, again, comes higher than being married. Why is it that Gen Z, they just don't think that you need to get married to have kids? I don't know. Maybe they're just a little more fast and loose with it.
This has got to be like fallout from the feminist movement, right? Like,
totally.
Completely poisoned the generation.
Yeah, totally. And because everyone really is putting owning a home, financial security, all these things above that. And I think that really is indicative of how people feel. I mean, I don't want to have kids if I can't provide for them financially. But I think if you ask older generations, they just say, have kids, get married young, have a lot of kids, you'll figure it out later, because they did. But I think a lot of younger people have this like doom and gloom mentality when it comes to affording a lifestyle, because it's harder to get a house. It's harder to be financially independent. So I think a lot of it has to do with the economy and the state of the economy, also with the negative effects of the feminist movement, like Guy said. Crazy. I mean, it really is a wild thing to see this shift. But Elon Musk is going to have to really pull his weight, because Gen Z is not going to be having kids. So Elon Musk, he's going to have to find some more baby mamas if he wants to undo that. The population decline. It's all on, he's got to carry it on his back. Because he's the only person that can really afford to have that many kids. What is he up to now? 14, 15 kids? 14 kids? Elon Musk carrying it on his back. Someone in the chat said it's hard to find a good woman. I would argue that it's hard to find a good man. But here's the thing. Like, if men feel that way and women feel that way, like, people are just, good people are not finding each other. Crazy. I want to talk about the VMAs. The MTV Video Music Awards. So Sabrina Carpenter, she's a pop star. She's one of the it girls now. And she and her performance went viral. People were talking about it online because she was surrounded by drag queens. These were drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race, different seasons. Grown adult, you are not pushing this on anyone. Everyone's a consenting adult. If you are a grown man and you want to wear a wig, whatever. And if you're, concerned about kids watching it, then that's on parents to make sure that your kids aren't watching age-inappropriate content. But kids are not the target audience of this. Kids are not supposed to be watching this. The VMAs have always been provocative, sexual. They have always pushed the envelope. For years, decades. Madonna performed like a virgin in a wedding dress in '84. Britney Spears was singing "I'm a Slave for You" with a python wrapped around her neck. If you remember, I think it was in 2009, Lady Gaga had like fake blood spewing from her stomach during a performance. Miley Cyrus twerking on Robin Thicke in 2013. These are all very provocative performances. It has always been like that. Conservatives were never the target audience. kids were never the target audience. And so Sabrina Carpenter dancing with drag queens with like protest signs is pretty benign compared to other performances that this award show has produced. And while Sabrina Carpenter is pint-sized and looks like a Toddlers and Tiaras contestant, she makes adult content. Her music is very sexually charged. She wears a lot of bad business decision because they don't know their audience, right? Just because Dylan Mulvaney has a bunch of followers doesn't mean that men who drink beer like it. I mean, that whole thing was dumb. But having drag queens protest in favor of trans ideology at an award show for libtards makes total sense to me. Like, this is not for us. This is for them. And I would imagine that liberals who watch this like that content. In other trans news, the Trump administration is mulling a trans gun ban in the wake of the Minnesota Catholic school shooting last month. This SSRIs and violence, as well as gender-affirming drugs, as they call them, and violence. But the NRA is sticking up for trans, but it's a small amount of people. And then you take that, and then how many of them are law-abiding gun owners? Probably not so many, but
approximately 1% of the U.S. population 1%. Age 13 and older.
Right. So this is not a huge group of people, by the way, that would not have access to guns, but the NRA put out this statement. The NRA does not and will not support any policy proposals that implement sweeping gun bans that arbitrarily strip law-abiding citizens of their Second Amendment rights without due process. And I agree. Obviously, the NRA is going to be absolute when it comes to the Second Amendment. I don't believe in red flag laws or anything that infringes on the Second Amendment because it's all a slippery slope, right? If you can ban it from trans people, then they can just decide that another group is dangerous, like right-wing extremists. Like, well, one day we'll have a Democrat president back in office one day. He'll say that, you know, Christians and concerned parents at school board meetings shouldn't have guns. And then, you know, we can't let that happen. We can't set that precedent with even any group of people. So if I, have an axe to grind with Guy or Justin, I shouldn't be able to call law enforcement and be like, hey, Guy is dangerous or, Justin's mentally ill and they shouldn't have guns. That's crazy. Like, all of these things are a slippery slope. So same thing with trans people. Not all trans people are violent. Yes, we're seeing a concerning trend now, but not all of them are violent. So you can't carry out a blanket ban for this group of people. It's unconstitutional. Where the gray area is, though, is mental health, because that is the common denominator when it comes to mass shooters, killers, violent people. They're all mentally ill. I also happen to believe that trans people are mentally ill, but that doesn't mean that all mentally ill people or trans people are killers, right? And I think that everyone should have the right to defend themselves. So I think the more good guys with guns, the better. And the more education there is around guns, the better. And Tennessee is leading the charge. So Tennessee is the first state to require that all public school and charter school students, even kindergartners, take gun safety classes. So they're supposed to all be age appropriate. So the lessons are going to be different when it's a kindergartner versus a sixth grader, for example. But especially in a state like Tennessee, Andy's not here today, but I was interested in having this conversation with him because if you grow up around guns, this is like second nature to you, right? Like a lot of kids who grow up in the South, they have a very different experience with firearms than I did. Like, I didn't grow up using guns or around guns. Like, I'm not comfortable with them. I want to be. So I would have loved to have this kind of lesson plan in school that, maybe it wouldn't be as scary if you grew up with it and you knew what to do in this situation. And part of these lessons, they're supposed to be politically neutral. They're not talking about Republican or Democrat. They are talking about practical safety. Kids are going to be taught not how to shoot guns, but how to respond if they come across a firearm. If there's a firearm in school or somewhere, the safety around it, the importance of not touching it, calling an adult, and no guns or live firing events are involved in these classes. It's just informational. Supporters are arguing that, this could save lives. Critics are saying, we're putting too much responsibility and onus on kids rather than fixing the problem at large. I think both of those things are probably true. But I think, the more education, the better, right? I mean, you might say, when I first read this, I'm like, ooh, kindergarten, really? But this stuff happens, right? I mean, kindergartners are getting killed in school. So I think, unfortunately, kids are having to grow up way younger because our society is horrible. But at least they would be armed, no pun intended, with the knowledge to protect themselves or maybe protect other people or alert an adult if there is a firearm in school or there is a shooting in school. So I think the more education, the better. So I think that's really cool to see in Tennessee, and I hope other states do that too. I want to talk about Charlemagne the God because he's on the Breakfast Club. He's a host of the Breakfast Club. He's the one that, Biden was like, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. You remember that? So he was talking on the show about his regrets taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Listen to this.
I ain't gonna lie, every time I have chest pain now, I'd be like, man, I should have never got that damn COVID shot.
Exactly.
I be feeling like I had no cardiovascular issues until like I got that goddamn COVID
Which
shot.
sucks, because they kind of forced us to get the COVID shot, right? We didn't have an option if we wanted to continue to work, which sucks.
And I'm not saying it was the vaccine. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when I think about the changes that I've had over the last 5 years, that was a big one, getting that vaccine.
Everyone is waking up. I will say that the conspiracy theorists, we are, batting 1,000, right? Because we knew that this was a whole load of crap as it was happening. We knew it was a load of crap before it was happening. All these mandates and wear a mask in the gym and all this stuff 6 feet apart and follow the lines on the floor. I mean, all of this was dumb, right? If you have common sense, you knew that this was dumb. But now it's interesting to see even Democrats who voted for Joe Biden, Democrats who probably even encouraged people to get vaccinated with their large platforms, are now waking up to the fact that, maybe I shouldn't have taken that. Maybe it wasn't as safe and effective as they said. So I do think, as too little too late as this seems, I think it is important for these liberals who have woken up to say something, because I think it's validating for all of us who knew all along, right? And then their liberal followers and viewers and listeners can maybe start realizing, like, okay, maybe it's not just anti-science to question things. Maybe people aren't crazy conspiracy theorists if they just question whether or not we should get an unauthorized and experimental vaccine. So the next time that the government just tells everyone to blindly roll up their sleeves, maybe we won't do that. Maybe we won't shame people for having a party with 7 people instead of 6. Maybe they'll take their masks off. I don't know. I do want to quickly, before we get into scrolling time, I want to provide this update. Yesterday, the first American Pope, Pope Leo, canonized the first millennial saint, Carlo Acutis. And this is amazing because this is a lot of firsts, right? First American Pope, first millennial saint. And Saint Carlo, now Saint Carlo, died from leukemia at 15. But before he died, he spread the word about the Catholic faith online. He spread the word about Eucharistic miracles. He made a website that was available in multiple languages to kind of spread the word about this. So he's also attributed with 2 miracles. 2 healing miracles, the healing of a Brazilian boy with a pancreatic condition in 2013. Also the healing of a Costa Rican student who had a severe head injury in 2022. So both healings were deemed medically inexplicable. And this is all according to the Vatican and church authorities. So this past weekend, he was made a saint. He is known as God's influencer and the patron saint of the internet. So I thought it was very fitting that this scrolling time, I will say, pray for us, Saint Carlo. So let's get into some scrolling time. I just had to get into the show. I think my sips of tea and my ginger ale helped. I'm in the zone now. Okay, we all saw this viral video from over the weekend, right? The Phillies Karen, this Phillies fan who stole the ball from this little boy, or attempted to steal the ball from this little boy. And then, there was this, altercation between the Karen and the dad. And let's watch this if you haven't seen it. What a loser. Loser. I could not get over this video. So anyway, people were kind of upset with the dad a little bit because the dad gave in to the Karen. The Karen is screaming in his face with his kid there, saying, that was my ball. You took my ball from me, which is such loser behavior. I can't even believe that an adult would act like this. I think it's like an unspoken rule that if there's a kid, you give it to the kid, right? You're an adult. You will live without this, but this could really make the kid's day. This would make his month, his year, right? You're an adult. Get over it. You don't need the fly ball. Like, relax. So anyway, people were kind of mad at the dad because he gave in to the Karen. Then a lot of people came to the dad's defense because they said, well, he's setting a good example in front of his son that not that you should just like lay down and get bullied by Karens, but you should be the bigger person. And if someone is going to be aggressive, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's just a baseball. So you can give it away, which I think is a good lesson for the kid as well. But the Phillies came out in full force for this kid. After this went totally viral, the Karen got shamed for her behavior. Horrible. I mean, I can't even say this enough. What a loser. So the Phillies gave him some swag, some merch. They came out and, they got the t-shirts and everything for him. And Harrison Bader, who hit that home run, gave this kid his own signed bat. So the kid who did the right thing made out like a bandit. It was good to see that everyone kind of came back and supported him. But what did you guys think of this?
I think
no thoughts.
Sorry, what was the question?
This Phillies, do you see the fly ball, the home run ball, and the guy, like the Karen was screaming at them?
Yeah, I agree with you. She's a loser.
Yeah.
Probably a liberal too. Probably.
But do you agree that like
career, no?
People were getting annoyed with the dad? Like he should have been like, no, it's our ball. Like, would you have fought the Karen or would you have let the Karen win?
No, not as a bystander. I would. If I was the kid's parents, I would have, shamed her. But then what I'm gonna do? Like physically fight her?
No. But she was getting pretty aggressive. I mean, she was willing to get up in his face and get in the face of a kid.
I mean, I'm still not gonna hit an old woman.
I'm not saying you have to hit her, but like you could just say, no, sorry, like it's our ball. Yeah. People are.
I don't know. I'm one of these people who I try to pick my fights, intelligently, and this doesn't seem to be worth it.
I mean, none of this is worth it. It's literally a baseball. Like everyone needs to calm down.
Right.
People are saying he took the high road. That's what I always taught my kids. Yeah, I think they ended up doing the right thing and they were rewarded for that but I think they would have been in the right. I would have supported the dad if he was like, F off to the Karen. Like, no, we got it and relax. Go sit down. Oh, man. Should we play this Chuck E. Cheese video? I found this last week and we just didn't get to it. I think I wanted to play it on like Thursday or Friday of last week. Didn't get around to it. But this guy, this Chuck E. Cheese employee, was arrested in his Chuck E. Cheese outfit. He was getting dragged out by police officers. This was where? Tallahassee, Florida. Of course, it happened in Florida. Anyway. Watch this.
Chucky's a little bit busy, ma'am. Chucky, come with me, Chucky. Come on.
Come with me, Chucky.
Come with Chucky. Chucky, stop resisting. Stop resisting. You're being detained. Stop resisting. Let it go. Let it go. Do not cause a scene here, sir. I got it.
Come on, Chucky. Cops are pulling Chucky out in handcuffs.
I'm just doing my job.
I gotcha.
He's saying he's just doing his
You're gonna
job.
poke me or stick me, right?
No, sir.
All right. Don't worry about reaching or anything. Okay. Where the you got pants on underneath this?
I gotta take all this stuff off.
He's in his Chuck E. Cheese costume.
I gotta get dressed.
If we take these cuffs off,
10-4.
are we going to have to get in a fight? Or are you
No,
gonna
sir. I'm
cooperate?
gonna cooperate.
All right, good.
I'm gonna cooperate like a regular person.
Go ahead and take your shirt
Like
off.
a regular person and not like Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, harassing a man working.
Not really.
All I do is work. This.
Okay.
What did the cop say at the end? He's like, I was just working. He was like, not really. The cop said, not really. The cop shamed him, job shamed him there. But he was arrested for alleged credit card fraud. So he was charged with theft of a credit card, criminal use of personal identification information, and fraudulent use of a credit card on more than 2 occasions within 6 months. He says, all I do is work in his Chuck E. Cheese costume, but he doesn't just work. He also commits crimes. So no one is above the law, not even Chuck E. Cheese. All right, this next video, this is another video of a cop, but this is a Canadian cop, and it reminds me of just how good we have it here in the good old US of A. Watch this.
Okay, so today I'm just going to go over the 4 things that you need to be able to have alcoholic beverage on your vessel. The number one most important thing is you need to be moored off, tied to a dock, or anchored. The vessel cannot be underway. There cannot be any open alcohol on the boat while you're underway with yourself or your passengers. And all the limits that apply for on the road hold the same weight on the water. The second thing, you need to have cooking facilities on the vessel. The third thing, you have to have sleeping quarters. And the fourth, you need to have a place to go to the washroom. There has to be a fixed head on the bathroom that can be pumped out. It can't be portable. Hope everyone has a great summer and be safe out on the water.
How can anyone have a great summer with all those rules? This is crazy to me as an American who grew up drinking on boats, parties on boats, people's friends have boats, the parents were drinking, like even when we were younger. So the rules are you can't have an open container on a moving boat. Like the boat has to be parked if you were drinking on it. At that point, why are you even drinking on a boat? What? Like you can't be on the open water and have an open container? So no drinking on the boat unless you have a fixed bathroom, you have sleeping quarters, and you have food on the boat? Canada, I mean, come on. It's no way to live. It's no way to have a good summer. You can't have a summer send-off and not drink on the boat. I mean, this is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Communist Canada. Could we get an eagle screech for everyone who drinks on boats and parties like a normal person? Amen to that. I feel bad for our neighbors to the north. No fun.
I don't think I've ever drank on a boat.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Do you get seasick?
But I've only gone out in boats like a couple of
A few
times.
times?
Yeah. I know I won't do it in Canada.
You can't do it in Canada. Not really. There's no point. There's all these rules, all the red tape getting in the way. It's very hard to have fun on the lake in Canada. My goodness. I do feel sorry for them, but you get what you vote for. All right, this next one, this guy is trying to honk at this person in front of them because they left their phone on the roof of their car, but the driver it turns into a road rage type situation. Watch this.
Because I blew the horn at him. Now he's driving all crazy and shit.
He's driving crazy. He's got
'cause
the
I was
middle
blowing
finger
the
up.
horn at him, trying to let him know. But I bet he's wondering where his phone is. Well, I can assure you, it's not on top of your car anymore. I was trying to let you know, but and then I figured I'd just let you cool off and pull up here, and maybe I'd get a chance to let you know that hey, your phone's back there where I was blowing the horn at you. But
Now the
when
little
your
kid
kids
is throwing up
flipped me
the
off
bird.
too, I was like, fuck it, you can find your own.
Little kid in the back seat throwing the bird. No good deed goes unpunished. I'm just going to say that. this nice man's punishment was the bird by a toddler. I mean, he got the middle finger thrown up by a toddler. This just goes to show I think if someone kept beeping at me, at first I would be agitated. But then you have to think, like, are they trying to tell me something? I mean, that's the second thing that goes through your mind, right? If you're a normal person. So you would think, okay, what is it? What are they trying to tell me? Like, if someone's flashing their lights, like, what, is there a cop coming? Is there, like, there's, these are the unspoken rules of the road. If someone's trying to get your attention, I mean, how else can you do it other than honk at them? This guy was just throwing out the middle finger, teaching his poor kid in the back to do the same. I haven't gotten into any road rage incidents since driving again, which is good. If you follow this show, I know some new people might have followed from X and Facebook today, but if you follow this show, you know that I did not drive a car for almost 10 years. I moved to New York City, sold my car, didn't look back. I lived in New York City and I lived in Nashville, and for 9.5 years, I did not drive a car. So I have been driving again. Andy makes fun of me for, driving in here on 2 wheels because usually I'm running late, but I drive very safely and I don't get angry or anything like that. So, all right, this last one, well, I guess I'll save this one for tomorrow. It's 7 o'clock. I will see you all back here tomorrow. You can follow me at Haley Carania on most social media platforms, on Instagram, on TikTok, on X, on Truth Social, and of course, you can watch the show on Rumble, rumble.com/Haley. And if you catch it on X or Facebook, welcome. And then you can come join us on Rumble for the full thing. So I will see you right back here.